In countless ways, this is a story of one. What can happen when individuals believe a crisis can be solved, that lives can be changed, and futures can be rewritten? 25 years ago, the story of 4Kids began with one woman's voice.
I saw these kids come into the system and they had no hope. They just had no hope. The majority of those kids come in and they are just they just have no understanding of what a real family is all about. And they so desperately look for someone to love them and someone to just affirm them and to make them feel special. And I saw children that were removed due to abuse, placed in a system that was abusing them even more sometimes. And that's why I started Child Share.
Irene knocked on door after door, pleading for kids who were forgotten in foster care. In the 1990s, problems continued to grow with children facing even more abuse, disappearing, and even dying in the homes that were supposed to keep them safe. Calvary Chapel Fort Lauderdale believed the church was the answer, and hundreds of churches began to follow.
So as a pastor, 4Kids offers us a real tangible step into the gospel. And foster care is not the only place where the gospel is expressed. I totally understand that. But if you begin to feel a call toward that, 4Kids is like nothing else I've ever seen. They have a ton of ways to get involved. And so as a pastor, it's an amazing resource. I don't feel like they're over aggressive. I don't feel like they're trying to push they're pushing the agenda of God's heart. And sometimes as a pastor, we can forget that. We can do our own agenda that has our church brand on it. But God's not about our church brand, right? He's about the kingdom brand. And 4Kids, I think, is a great reorientation to that.
In 2003, Calvary's Child Share and Project Teamwork 4Kids merged with His Caring Place to create 4Kids of South Florida, serving Broward County. 4Kids continued to grow beyond and expanded into Palm Beach County and later the Treasure Coast, with hundreds of Christian foster families opening their hearts and their homes.
Yeah, I think I think about our journey, almost 10 years ago of being foster parents. It's been a lot of highs and, not very many lows. And, I think one of the shining beacons of light for me was, having a support agency that was always there for us when we experienced those things. I think that's what really helped us a lot emotionally is that, when you're going through those things and people say, I don't see how you can do that, how you can, have a child in your home for a year or 2.5 years or whatever it may be, and I have to give that child back, maybe to a family member or whatever their situation may be changing into. And, everyone has always told us, and 4Kids made us really realize that we're there for them in that moment. We're there to help them through whatever their issue is, whatever their situation is. And that's why God put us in that place.
God continues to open doors for 4Kids to grow beyond, now into Southwest Florida and soon into Miami-Dade. We are growing beyond not just regions, but impact as well, transforming even more lives through healing and rescuing more families through prevention.
Because it's not one church, one pastor, one congregation trying to do everything. But we have a lot of different churches that normally might not ever partner together for anything. But on this one cause, we're coming together to reach out to these families that are in need. And all these churches are collectively coming together, uniting for one common purpose, and it's to help these children. And I think that that's going to have long-term benefits as we see these children grow up and be able to say, you know what, there was a time in my life when it seemed that nobody cared. But there was a family and there was a church that reached out to us, and it made a difference.
And God is not finished yet. There are still kids who need us, who need you, to believe their futures can be different, that their lives can be restored through hope, homes, and healing.
looking at my own life and looking for where I came from and the broken family that I was in and kind of where I was then to where I am now, it's a completely different. It's like night and day. You know, you wouldn't even recognize me if you see me, if you understand the difference. Everyone who knows me will tell you that. And if they could impact my life like that, and we have 30,000 of that, that's 30,000 people that impacted like that. Like, you think about what kind of legacy that 4Kids is leaving behind. This is huge. Like, this is a real big thing. We're not just talking about young men here. We're talking about young girls, you know, little boys, babies. I'm talking about really people, like, they have their whole lives ahead of them. And 4Kids is impacting their lives when they're very, very young. So when they turn older, you know, they could then pass it down. They could just take what they learned from 4Kids and share the love, you know. And it's just crazy. Like, 30,000 could easily, if I impacted myself 10 different people, then 30,000 people times 10, you know, you do the math. It's amazing what 4Kids could do and what 4Kids has done and is gonna continue to do. And just, I don't know, man, just doing God's work is so amazing. And 4Kids is really taking the bull by its horn with this one. I love it.
Join 4Kids in growing beyond until every child has a home.